Hi there, John Arnott, Business Mastery. Today we're going to go over some productivity tips. Frequently I'm asked, how do you manage so much email? How do you make sure that you get what's important handled and are able to get through the things that are less important? And how do you organize those into tasks? I follow a methodology called Getting Things Done. And there's a great book by it that I'll link to in the show notes. Getting Things Done allows you to categorize what's coming in based on certain criteria. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I've implemented Getting Things Done in Outlook. The first thing I'm going to break down for you are the folders. Getting Things Done is a methodology that thinks in terms of putting things in folders, which are easily to translate to using Outlook. And I have 4 main folders. The first one is Not Actionable. The second is Waiting. The third, Next Actions. And the fourth are Projects. And as emails come in, I put them into one of those 4 folders. If something comes in and I don't want to delete it for any reason, and it's not related to any project I'm working on, I might put it in Not Actionable. If something comes in, it's not related to a specific project, but I do need to get some more information, I might put it in Waiting. If something comes in and I know I need to do something, but I'm not going to drop everything and do it right then and there, I'm going to put that in Next Actions. And finally, if something comes in and it's just for archival purposes, I'm going to put it in the appropriate project. Or if I finish doing something in Next Actions, then I'll move it from Next Actions to the project folder so I have an archive, I have that history. We're going to walk through each of those things in Outlook. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my messages, and my goal here is to have an empty mailbox. I always want to have an empty inbox. Now, you may have an Other tab, or you may have a Spam tab or Spam folder, and you may have things go in there. But for this, I am talking about your main inbox being empty for the most part. Now, I don't do this all day, every day. Email is something that you should really schedule. You shouldn't be heavily tethered to email. You should plan for certain times a day when you check the email. I check my email at the beginning of the business day. Then I check the email at about 2-hour intervals during the day. And finally, when I'm wrapping up my day and I'm planning my next day, I'll do a final pass. And with each one of these passes, I intend to clear out that inbox and move things into the appropriate folder. It doesn't always happen during the middle of the day, but by the end of the day, I want to know that my inbox is completely empty and emails are in the appropriate folders ready for me to work on the next day. So let's do this. The first thing is, I'm not shy about deleting things. If it's not important and it's not bound to a next action or a specific project, I'm probably going to delete it. So let's work it. I see this first email. It's not important to me today. I'm going to delete it. The next email is associated with an organization that I'm involved in, Toastmasters. I go to my projects. It's just informational. And I'll move it into Toastmasters. The next information email is a dialogue that I'm having with one of my colleagues. If I can answer an email in under 2 minutes, I will answer the email right then and there. That way I'm not moving something into Next Actions that could be handled immediately. However, if I feel that the email will take more than 2 minutes, I move it into Next Actions, where then I can queue it up to be a task. And I'll talk a little bit more about tasks later on in this video. I'll move this into this project. This one will take a little longer to reply. So what I'll do is I'll go up to my Next Actions folder. And I'll drag that into Next Actions. One of the things you might notice is underneath Next Actions, I have something called CC rule. Because of the amount of email that comes in, if somebody chooses to CC me rather than put me in the to line, I have a rule created in Outlook to automatically take that email and put it in the CC box. I only check my CCs once, maybe twice per day. If I'm CC'd and not in the to line, it's less important and doesn't typically require an immediate reaction. And those CCs are a subfolder to next actions because I do still need to review them from time to time. Next email, I'll put into next actions. It'll take me a little longer. I already responded to this email, so I'm going to go find the project that I need to associate it with in my list of projects. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and do all these. You'll see these happen in fast motion. We'll talk about it as we see different types of things to address. Sometimes I get emails that are interesting to me. They're not actionable, and I really don't want to do anything about it now, but I don't want to delete them. I have a folder called reference for that. Underneath not actionable, there's a subfolder called reference. And so sometimes I'll grab emails that I just don't want to part with that I may search for at another time, and I put them in reference. Now my inbox is empty, but I have quite a bit sitting in my next actions. What I like to do in next actions is, if it's something that is going to take a while to do, or it's maybe something I'm going to do off into the future, I still want to clean out next actions, but I don't want to lose sight of that. We use a tool internally to manage tasks called Asana. You can use many different products to do your task management. You can use tasks in Outlook, for example. What I'll do with a email that came in that requires me to take an action that I'm not going to do immediately or within the next, say, 24 to 48 hours, I will create a task in Asana for me to do the follow-up. And then I can move that email into the appropriate project folder. And I found an email that I want to do in the future as a task. I don't really need it sitting as next actions. Next actions does not need to be this ever-growing queue of work to do. It's very difficult to prioritize next actions. So I'm going to take the email that I want to do later and I'm going to create a task in Asana. I use a plugin for that. I keep the same name as the subject line in the task name. Sometimes I'll modify that. I assign it to myself and I give it a due date. Then I associate with the project that I'm working. I create the task. And once the task is created, I'm finished with that email. So I can move that email into the appropriate project folder, which is what I'll do right now. Sometimes I come across an email in my next actions and it got in there for whatever reason, but it would easily take less than 2 minutes for me to respond. I get those fleshed out too. I actually respond right then and there. I also keep personal tasks in their own project in Asana. It allows me to mix my personal and my work in one place, one area for task management. And that's it. My inbox is empty, my next actions is empty, and my task management system has the task to follow up with everything. Now I'm in a great place to start the next day. Hopefully this is helpful. Keep an eye out for the video coming up talking about task management, which will build on what we discussed today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.